Teaching Tax Flow is committed to our proprietary 4-step process for helping taxpayers legally and ethically reduce the tax they pay in their lifetime. This 4-step process is also called a personalized tax plan. Now, before you jump in to each step, you have to have a current year tax projection. That's the prerequisite to do anything, because without good numbers, we can't create a good plan. So we first start with those current year tax projections. I'm going to mention this though too. It's a tax projection. It doesn't have to be a perfect amount or the exact amount of income or tax liability, but we need to know what your marginal tax rate is and about what your taxable income is going to be in a given year. We also have to understand that different income is taxed at different rates. So once we understand someone's current year tax projection, then we can move forward into step 1, and that is your diagnosis. We have developed 4 different color-coded diagnoses, which stand for red, green, purple, gold. Your marginal tax rate, which is more important than your tax bracket, dictates what your diagnosis is. You can have multiple diagnoses in a given year, and you can also change diagnoses from year to year. But let's assume someone is in a 40% marginal tax rate situation. In the Teaching Tax Flow 4-step process, there would be a red diagnosis, meaning marginal tax rate over 25%. So once we diagnose the taxpayer, then we step into step 2, the prescription stage. Now, we always say ideas are cheap, implementation is valuable. So prescriptions are important, but that's not the end goal. However, prescriptions have to be based on the diagnosis. And at that point, prescriptions are shared with the taxpayer. Typically, 6 to 8 different prescriptions or ideas are shared with the taxpayer based on their situation or diagnosis. Those prescriptions or tax planning implementations come in 3 different buckets. Some are behavioral, some are tax advantaged investments, some are tax mitigation strategies, and they work hand in hand together. Once feedback is received from the taxpayer on which prescriptions they're comfortable with, then we go into step 3. We call that our gateway to implementation. At that point, your tax professional will work with you and your tax planner will work with you to figure out what we call your IQ test. It's another proprietary item we created here at Teaching Tax Flow. IQ test stands for Identify Strategy, Quantify Result. We're making sure the strategy financially makes sense for the taxpayer. The prescription stage is more a feel. Which ones are they comfortable with? So it has to make sense financially. It has to make sense with their time horizon, their liquidity, their comfortability, and is it a sound tax strategy that we might want to implement? After the IQ test, we run numbers as a tax strategist, tax planner for the taxpayer, share them with the taxpayer, and figure out which mix of tax prescriptions or tax planning implementations move forward into that implementation phase. That's step 4. And remember, like I said, implementation is valuable, ideas are cheap. And within Teaching Tax Flow, we make sure our community members and taxpayers are aligned with implementation partners that we have vetted and we are comfortable with. And we make sure all the hard work that you've put into earning money as a taxpayer and the hard work that your tax professionals put in to make a plan gets implemented properly. Just like if you architect a beautiful home, yet it's not built to those specs, you'd be very disappointed. So we make sure that implementation goes as smooth as possible. So this is our proprietary Teaching Tax Flow 4-step strategy implementation process. Remember, every taxpayer's result will be unique, but we use the same process to get to every result.